One of the problems we regularly encounter on a daily basis is the issue of people who are being cared for, provided for, and as time goes by, their competence to capacity becomes questionable. At the very least, of course, people should have powers of attorney, and many don't. You know, there's this old saying that half the population doesn't have a will. Well, that's not quite true in the upper echelons age-wise. I happen to have the numbers, but still, it's a very substantial number of people 50 and over who don't have wills, and that means they haven't seen a lawyer to do a will who would have provided a power of attorney as well. So the odds are they don't have powers of attorney. So that's a real issue, because if you become not competent to sign a power of attorney, you're not competent to sign a power of attorney. So then you're looking at legal guardianship applications, which is, expensive. Sometimes that's like the only solution. And you get into sometimes dueling power of attorneys from a sister to a brother or a sister to a half brother, where for whatever, the sibling rivalries that the children have always had are the same. It's got nothing, frankly, to do about mother. It's the sibling rivalries, and all they are is just kids that got big, right?
And I think there may be some general confusion for some people who've not moved forward with getting a will and a power of attorney, specifically on the power of attorney front, about when a power of attorney is actually put into action.
I'm sure there's lots of confusion about that. In Ontario, but not Quebec, powers of attorney are effective once signed. Now, it's true, you can, and we rarely do, come across what are called springing powers of attorney, which means that there's a provision in the power of attorney that you have to prove the person's not competent before they're effective. That's not very common, though. So once the powers of attorney, property and personal care are signed, they're effective. And so the normal procedure with law firms is either to keep them all in our safe, or to at least keep one of each, secure, and then give the other two to the client, and they keep theirs secure. And then one day, you get a call from the son who has been granted this power of attorney, and he's asking if you'll release it. And of course, you then have to either know your client, satisfy yourself that either that they have instructed you to release it, or that they are past that, and you're content that now's the time. So it's a constant issue for law firms, and a lot of those daily situations where people have just let this slide and there's conflict. Then you get into whether you have to have a capacity assessment to the extent of determining if they're competent to sign the power of attorney, because otherwise it's he said, she said, right?
So are you saying that there are times with a power of attorney that it could be signed and, just kind of put to the side, right? But then if the day comes that somebody actually feels they need to use it, that they have to be in touch with their lawyer to say, okay, well, now I'm going to use it because I'm going to be selling mom's property, or mom needs to go into long-term care residence.
Yeah.
So in those instances, just so I'm clear, that they would have to reach out in order to, I guess, put the power of attorney into action.
That is the most common scenario. Now, I mean, if they know where mom's documents are and they can put their hands on the original, you can't stop them. But they're going to then need a batch of notarial copies, because of course you can't give away the original. But you could take the original to any lawyer and he would generate those notarial copies. my experience is that there are cases, certainly, where the powers of attorney are given to the person that the power is being granted to for them to keep. Sure. But I would say the more common scenario is they're not. You don't give your child license to deal with your bank accounts or your investments. Very few people are that liberal or trusting of even their best children.
It's meant for like a certain scenario or point in time or circumstance, ultimately.
Yeah, that's correct.
I just wanted to quickly get back to wills quickly here, because we've already established financial strain is a large consideration with family caregivers. And so, based on, some of our own research and interactions, I have to wonder if really the sense is that cost is prohibitive to doing something like a will.
No, they're cheap. Certain number of hundreds of dollars for simple stuff, and it's more expensive for more complicated work, of course. And you could even do your own if you wanted to. Get a kit. They must be online. For powers of attorney, if a person doesn't want to deal with a lawyer, you just go to the website for the Ministry of Attorney General, Public Guardian and Trustee, and they have free, simple power of attorney forms. They're not adequate, in my opinion, of course, but it's a start, and they're free. Sign it, get two witnesses in the presence of each other, and away you go, right? So it should not be an impediment. I think people should make sure that their spouses have wills, and if possible, you don't always have to do this as a tactical thing, but if possible, if you think that there might be, bad blood among the children when dad's gone, stand them up in a row in front of you and say, look, this is it. This is my estate. This is what I'm doing. This is the story. You three can do whatever the heck you want while I'm underground, but this is what's happening. So don't fight, because they didn't do it. Nobody else did it. I did it. This is it. Right? Because it's his money. He could have spent it. Right? So I try to be, say a little tough love isn't going to hurt anybody. And besides that, just make sure there are wills. And we do come across situations where there are no wills. So it's an intestacy. So then the estate is divided by succession law, which could be what Dad wanted.
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to take our quick survey to give us your feedback. Find the link in the video description below.